it then became a little bit of a chess match where I was trying to, run fast, but also kind of test him on downhills, uphills, through the golf course and everything, just to see, where is he hurting the most.
Hey Ben, how's it going? Andrew Patterson here from IronmanHacks, and I'm really happy to have Ben Kanute on, who just came in second place at St. George. What do you think, Ben? Great. How was it?
Yeah, it was an awesome race. It was a long year of kind of, not just chasing results, but just feeling like myself again. And to be able to put it together on the day at the World Champs was amazing.
Did you have any expectations going into the race?
Yeah, when I look at the races, like the mentality that I took in was first and foremost to get the most out of myself on the day. And I knew what I'd been doing in training and kind of what the results I'd had in previous years. And especially back in 2017, when I was second at the World Champs that year, I knew my bike level was very similar, if not a little bit better. And my run level was well beyond that. And even though the sport has changed a lot in the last 5 years, we just knew I was in some of the best shape I've ever been in. And earlier this year, I had a couple good results, a handful where was at least racing, but we just had a number of kind of obstacles to overcome throughout the year. And I spent basically the middle of June all the way through up until probably in the beginning of September is when I kind of started to feel like I was more of myself stacking workouts. And then it was really that few weeks before St. George where it all started to click again. And I've been able to be competitive at the top end of the field of a lot of competitive races. And I knew the St. George course suited me. So with my fitness, I was going to be happy if I was fighting for first or 10th just because of, it was 5 races and basically 5 months of me almost just surviving, getting to the finish line, running slower than, what I want to run in an Ironman sometimes, like at the end of a half race. So I just wanted to be in the fight. And I knew that, my fitness would probably put me up there, but I wasn't really taking anything for granted and was just, doing the little things to kind of build that momentum to try and put myself in a position to win.
Was that run something you thought you could do? What was that, like 1:11 or something?
Yeah, and I was out there training on this course. I'd done multiple workouts on that diagonal, so I had a feel for the road. I had kind of a goal of where I wanted to run, and each time you run, it's like the pain isn't any different, but you're just moving faster. And I've experienced this before in other races, but I definitely knew I was capable of running very quick over a half marathon, and I was in great run shape going into St. George. So now, Christian Blummenfelt, probably one of the greatest triathletes of all time, Olympic gold medalist. He's got almost every single world championship now. So watching him come back towards me, I didn't have this, I'm definitely going to run with Christian Blummenfelt. I know I can. But I could tell in that moment in the race that he, wasn't running as strong as maybe some people expected in comparison to me. And I just tried to take advantage of that and kind of saw, in that first mile or two that it's kind of do or die if I want to win the race. And I wasn't actually checking my watch very often throughout that entire half marathon. I could usually when I'm doing a workout, I could tell you almost every mile split because I'm very dialed in to trying to hit the prescribed workout. But that race, I was just racing and I was just, trying to catch Christian, trying to run ahead of him. So I think we've shown that I can run well and at a world-class level, but it's just been a little while. And that's kind of the thing about sport is this year, maybe I've had like Oceanside. You could maybe go back and look and be like, okay, I was close. I was still, maybe a minute 30 off of some of those other guys up ahead. But that was at the very beginning of the year. You could kind of say, okay, I was building up to that. But yeah, I'd say this is by far the best run that I've had. And, there's a couple others that I'd maybe put up in that progression. But it was finally like almost a full expression of the training that I've been doing.
Can you talk me through that a little bit? Like, how did that happen? How did that pan out? Because, I mean, I think you were only like, maybe, what is it, like 40 or 50 seconds off. I mean, in a race, that's a distance, but you would have been on, Christian's heels on the run, and he would have felt you breathing down his neck, going up and down diagonal and then through the golf course and passing each other and so forth. Was that something that, like, how did that dynamic feel? And what, or was there someone else between you? I mean, I was racing. I couldn't see the race. Coming off the bike, who came off first, and how did you claw your way up to second, or were you already second?
Yeah, so going up Snow Canyon, Magnus was starting to push the pace a bit, and Christian was then second. Fred Funk was right in front of me, and then it was me, and we had just dropped Mickey Tagholt right at the beginning of Snow Canyon. And I felt like we were going pretty hard, but I felt relatively comfortable and kept the gap, right there, like I was right with the group. But coming off of that climb, I was just thinking to myself to really keep like a legal distance, because I knew the referees were, really looking not to hand out penalties, but they were being relatively strict. And we saw that a lot in the race in Kona. So I wasn't going to take any chances. Because there is just at the 12-meter mark, even when you're going 45 miles an hour downhill, there's a benefit that's there. And I didn't want to make it seem like, I'm trying to stay close. So going around that corner, that gap opened just a bit because Magnus kept pushing, and then Christian and Fred followed, and I let it open just a bit. And I kind of dangled at 10, 15, 20 seconds and came in, I think, 40-ish seconds behind Magnus, or out of transition behind Christian. And I kind of traditionally, I've always ran faster in a half than Magnus and Freddie Funk. So I wasn't too concerned because, 20, 30 seconds over a half marathon where I can run, or I believe that I could run faster than Magnus and Fred. I kind of figured they would come back. But I was able to see Christian up ahead because the way the course was, it had enough of a view ahead where I could kind of see, 30 seconds down the road. And Christian was just looking behind quite a bit in those first 2 miles. Yeah, and it was even, I remember before, like, you hit that hot corner roundabout, and then there's the second roundabout with, like, the dragon statue. And I could even see him kind of going around there. And going around that, I could tell he was a little closer, and he kept every opportunity he would look behind him. And I thought that was, interesting in the moment, because Christian usually doesn't care who's behind him. He just charges ahead. So like I said, I did a lot of workouts. I did a couple key workouts on that diagonal, like running up it. So I just kind of had a good tempo and a good pace, and knew what I'd done before. So I kind of pushed that, upper limit kind of what I wanted for the half there, and was able to bring him back probably a lot quicker than maybe I expected or a lot of people did, and caught him right at that steep section on the golf course, and didn't put in a huge dig, but just tried to keep up, the difference in pace to see if he would, fall back or anything. But he was able to get right on my feet and just kind of follow. And it then became a little bit of a chess match where I was trying to, run fast, but also kind of test him on downhills, uphills, through the golf course and everything, just to see, where is he hurting the most? Right. And, if he's hurting more on the uphills, okay, I'll push a little bit more there.
You led him for a while then, right?
I led for about 8 or 9 miles. So I led that whole first, once I caught him at the 2 mile mark, I was ahead of him all the way down and all the way back up and all the way through the golf course again. And then right when we came out of the golf course, that was that downhill, and he totally kicked it into gear, used that, Olympic leg speed. And I was a little bit slow to respond because just of how, drastic of a change in pace. But I figured, it's do or die at that moment, and, wanted to keep the pressure on as much as I could, or keep the gap close as much as I could, just in case, he raced Kona 3 weeks before, and if he cramped or, just went too early or something, maybe there's an opportunity for me to capitalize on that, and was able to keep the gap relatively close, but by the time we hit all the way down to the bottom to the park, he was far enough ahead, and I'd used up, most of my matches trying to just keep that pace. And looking at some of those splits, you can see, how quick we both ended up moving down that. He just had, more leg speed on the day, and had a little bit more left in the tank than I kind of expected him to have after, the year that he's done racing.
Phenomenal. It's like a Sam Long, Lionel Sanders race down diagonal.
Yeah, definitely. So that course seems to bring out like kind of the best races.
Amazing. Tremendous, Ben. I mean, I'm happy for you. Awesome to see an American up there. And I was dying to know who had won. And I was asking volunteers as I ran, but I could never get a clear answer. And I don't think
That's awesome.
That doesn't work that way.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. It was hard to tell because, you come all the way down diagonal, and then, whoever was there, it's still quite a long ways, and you have a bit of uphill before the finish. So, he was super strong the whole day. So it was a lot of fun, though, to just be at the front, battling it out, and especially, in a discipline that maybe people wouldn't necessarily label me as like a full-fledged runner, but I feel like I kind of flipped the script on that a little bit that day.
You absolutely did. I mean, to go against all those guys and to pull out a time you had. What were you, like, second in the run, I think?
I was third. So I wonder, I'm not sure like where it panned out, because Christian had, the probably second or third fastest bike and second fastest or first fastest run. But I was third fastest run, fourth on the bike, and third in the swim. That's one of the, not the first time that I've had, a top three, but at a world championship, a top three run split. That was pretty cool to have.